Mm, Yeah, so since we all have been trapped in this situation now, it's been more than 2 years, and we all have made or might used Google Form at least once during the entire course of this. So I would just uh, start the screen share, and I would like to show you all how exactly the Google Form is created. Mm.
Shreya.
I am sorry, I got disconnected. I'll share my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Google Forms give you basic templates. So as you can see here, these are a few templates like party invite, contact information. So you could directly select those templates. You can edit it as you want, and then you can run the Google form. But if you're doing a form for your research, so I'll show you as per that. I'm taking a brand new blank over here. So it's a brand new form. I'll so first thing you do in a Google form is first thing you do in your Google form is you title it. So let's see if we title it as um, survey on people's perception on global warming. So here you can write simple descriptions about your Google form. So like if you want to describe your form, like what would be its contents and how you're going to question them. So you can write it like that. Now the first thing that you always write in a form is um con- uh, consent. So all the survey form must have a consent. So here I'll just let you know what consent should be. Like, so consent should contain why you want their response, um, how will you use their response, like, so what, why, and where you gonna use it, like for your lab work or you doing a psychological survey, so where you gonna use this responses. And you should always maintain uh, uh, this thing that you should always maintain this thing that you should not leak the serve responses of your recipient, so that you can always add your email ID and your phone number in case they want to contact you or they have anything, any doubt regarding to your form and they want to ask you. So they should, there should always be a way that they can contact you. So you have to add all these details in your consent. Now you just select multiple choice over here. The first option you select would be agree. So if they agree to your consent, then they are allowed to further write the survey or take the survey. But if they are not agreeing to your consent, like if they don't want to give their responses to you, then they can disagree and they should be allowed to exit the form then and there. Since this question is very important, it should be added as required. So you see required here, I just selected. So this question would be a compulsory question for the recipient. Now I add a section over here. So this is how you add a section. Here is the equal sign, you all can see. So we just click that and we get a section. So let's label a section. You can label your section anything however you want. But if you can't think of anything, you can just label it as per your creativity. For now, I can just label it A1. It is very important to actually label a section, that I'll just let you know later. Now, this is the description. So you can give a tiny description of your section, that what all section could be included. It's totally optional. If you want to, you can do it. Now, how to add a question. So here is a plus sign, if you can see. So I just select it and I get a question. So yeah, I just type a question. Okay. So in a survey, like you always ask details of your recipient, like age, profession, gender. All these things are very important. And if your survey is region based, like if you're doing a survey on COVID cases, so what is the rise of COVID cases in each city? So what is the case in Mumbai, Pune, Nasik? So in those kind of situations, you also add the option of region. So in the personal details, so you can here also write your details that include details of the recipient. So here you write email. So you ask about the email, which is C. The Google form interprets it as short answer automatically. So here they just have to feed their email ID, which is a required question. So you mark it as required. Then you again add another question where you add the age. So age could be an open-ended question. So if you want an open-ended question, here is a short answer where they can directly feed their age, like 16, 17, 18, whatever they want to. But if you want a range, like if you want to be in a range like 16 to 24, 25 to 40, 40 to 50, and 50 and above, if you want it to be like that, so you can select multiple choice over here. You add options like that, like 16 to 24, then you choose 25 to 40, then you choose 40 to 60, and 60 and above. So they have an option to select either one of any. So if this age question is required for your survey, then you marked it as required. And if it is not required, then you can avoid it. Like if you want personal details of your recipient, then you should mark every question as required. But if you just want their responses, then you can quit making them as a compulsory question. Now the thing is, age is a very important factor, because you can just see like from how many age groups you're getting your response, like from which age group is majorly filling your response. So that's why in many of the survey, age has to be a compulsory question. Now, if you want to add region in the next question, or maybe profession, so I write profession. So I can add multiple professions over here. It could be a short answer as well. If you just want to know what is their profession, you could simply do it like that, or you can just write a few broad spectrum of professions, like maybe a health worker, or a government employee, and private sector, and you can also add other option where they can add whatever they want to. Like if they don't fit in any of these, you can also add student as one of the option. So if they don't fit in your given options, they have a option to give their own answer. So you can add the other option over here. If you want this question to be compulsory, again, you can make it as a required question. If it is not required for a survey, it is all right to not make it a compulsory question. Now, here comes where I start my survey. So I have asked for the personal details if I require it for my survey, and then I just start my basic major questions which I want for the survey. So let's name this section as A1. Or you can beautify it anytime. You can write it as creatively as you want to. But if you don't have, it's like okay to mention it as A1, A2, B1, B2, like that. So let's say my first question is, do you know what is global warming? So see here, here are the suggestions of the options. So there could be three, like yes, no, or maybe, right? So this all comes under multiple choice. Now I add another question that states, do you know about its side effects? So again, the options would be yes, no, or maybe. Now I am wanting to add, so also these all questions should be kept compulsory. And now I want to add a section over here. So I add it. Let's label the section as A2. Here also, like there's the option of description. So if you want to add any sort of description or want to describe your section, you can do it. It is optional. If you feel like doing it, you can always do it. So now let's see if I want them to answer more than one option. Like maybe sometimes, like, you know, there's not a single option for everything. So you think that every option given below is correct. So for that case, let's see what are the factors that causes global warming is my question. So there could be multiple reasons to it. So one would be deforestation, air pollution, water pollution, greenhouse gases, and maybe others. So if they find something else that is not mentioned in our options, they can also enter that. So always try to add the option of others. So they are not forced to think as you're thinking. They can also give your their opinions to your survey. So for this kind of questions, you cannot select only one, right? There are all the options are correct. So for that, you can go to the option of check boxes. So in this case, you can mark as many as options you want to. Okay, so keeping this question as compulsory again. Now let's ask another question which says, how do you help in reducing the global warming? So here you can make it as an open-ended question. So they should be allowed to respond as they want to. So here them an option of short answers where they can write in a couple of words, or if you want them to write an entire incident. So excuse me. Sorry. So in this case, you can add option of short answers, or you can also add the option of adding paragraphs. So where they get long answer text, so they can type as much as you want. So here is a tip. In questions like this, you might be wanting to ask them what is their opinion or what are their experiences, but not everyone likes to type so much, and they don't expect long answers to be written in a Google form. So it might happen they just open your form and you keep this question as required, so they are forced to answer these questions, so they just leave your form and don't answer to it. So in these cases, when you ask open-ended questions which you think could be too long and are not really required for your survey, you don't keep them required, so that you get the responses as much as possible, and they don't just exit your form. Okay, so this is a tip that you can take. Now, so I add another question here. So I'll ask, what of the following you do, or have you done the following? Okay, so the first option is, let's say I wanna get multiple choice grid. So here in rows, you write your questions, and in columns, you write your options. So let my question be, do you dispose your waste in dustbin? Right? And let the other question be, do you segregate it? So do you segregate it? Okay. So let the column or the options include yes, sometimes. So it would be better if it is in a certain gradient. So it is yes, sometimes, or maybe, or never. So it should be like in a certain gradient. So it could not be yes, no, sometimes. Like it would be great if it is in a sequence. So we write like yes, sometimes, and no, or never. Okay. So what this question look like is like this. So do you dispose your waste in dustbin? So they can write yes, sometimes, or never. And do you segregate it? So similarly. So this is an option where like you can give them, a single question has like many phases, like there's a single question that includes many phases and you want to ask about all the phase to them. So such kind of questions could be asked in this manner. Now again, there is an option called linear. So here it is, sorry, linear scale. So here I ask my question is, how well do you keep your surrounding? Okay. So I have to list it from like, I have to rate it from 1 to 5, that how well I keep. So let 1 be unclean and let 5 be clean, right? So you have to rate it that wise. So in questions like this, you can add descriptions. So you can add descriptions option to the questions where you want them to know what is the actual meaning of your question and what you are seeking from their answers. So like maybe if you use a word, what is adulteration? Or you ask a question, do you know what is adulteration? Maybe a layman person won't understand the meaning of adulteration, so they simply just skip your question or skip your survey. So in that case, it is better to explain them what is adulteration, so that they know what you actually want. So in these kind of cases, you can add description here. So in my description, what I add is where 1 equals to unclean and 5 equals to clean. Also, there are like in all the questions, this is an option. So if I want to add a description over here, where I want to brief in my question that what exactly I am asking, I can write it in the description. So there is option of description in every question. So here I've mentioned it very plain, clean and unclean, but actually if you want to describe your question, you can use this feature of description. Now in another question, I want them to upload a picture of their surrounding. So in that case, I ask them, upload a picture of your surrounding, which I won't keep as required or for simple reasons. And here in this case, I select the option as file upload. So they can upload a file using their Google Drive. I can also adjust the file size over here. So this could be the file size. Let's keep it to 100 MB. Like most of the files are of 100 MB. So let's keep it that. So these are the major functions these are the major kinds of questions. Like I've explained you all the kind of questions, how you can frame it and all the features which you can use in Google Form. So I make another section over here. Let's say this as section A3. And I add a picture to it. So here is the option of adding images. So I add image. I can add image from Google Images directly. So I can search image directly. I can upload it from my laptop or my phone or by using camera or anything. So that's let's see, I upload it from Google. So I write it as global warming. And I select this picture. So here I get an image. Now beneath the image, I'm wanting to write something, or I'm wanting to explain them what is global warming. I want to share my side of information with them. So I write here global warming, and I simply write some texts. It could be 50 to 80 words, like as long as you want to write it. Try to keep it very short so that they find it interesting to read, because as long your text would be, not everyone is a reader person and would like to read your text. So I just want to write something like global warming, its effects, and the rest of the information you want. So you can just type it over here. So this is the text you have written. You can similarly add a video from YouTube also. So here is the option of adding a YouTube video, where you just have to mention a link of the YouTube video here, and you can then select it. So that way you can also add a video to your Google form. Now let's go to sectioning. So now previously I told you that it is very important to label your section. So let's come to the section A1, where the first question I've asked is, do you know about global warming? So global warming is a very simple term and everyone might know it. But when you come to something more scientific, not everyone might know it. So when you ask a term like this, that do you know what is black fungus, or do you know what is Ayurveda? So not everyone might be into herbal plants, Ayurveda, or reading about fungi, algae and all. So they might simply select no, but they still have to go through all of these A2 questions, which is unappropriate. Like it totally contradicts to the above question that they're selecting, they don't know, but they still forced to answer your questions, which does not give correct sampling and might give error to your results or analysis. So in this case, what do you do? So just beside required, there are these three dots. So you can go to section-based answering, where you can answer, like if they select yes, they can go to the next section, that is A2, right? A2. If they select no, so you can educate them about global warming, which you did in the last section, that is A3, with the picture and the text. And if they select maybe there is some knowledge about global warming, so they can go to the fourth section, or A2 section. So like this, you can simply section it on the basis, or you can navigate your entire Google form. So people who does not know about Google form never even comes to this section. They directly go to the A3 section, they read it and submit it. Because if a person who is not knowledgeable about a particular field just gives you answer, it just gets, error to your analysis later. Secondly, you can also do it here in the consent form. So when they say agree, they should be allowed, go to the section-based answer. Now here, they should be allowed to continue from the next section itself. But if they say disagree, they should be allowed to submit the form, because they're not agreeing to your terms and conditions of your form, and they're not agreed to give their personal details. They should they should be allowed to exit the form immediately. So this is how you design your form. Now here you can also beautify it using this palette over here. So you can see customized theme. You can just go over there, you can choose an image. So here are a few images already. So if you want a different image, you can go to Google or anything like that, or you can just see over here, like there are multiple images of a few topics listed over here. And still, if you don't like it, you can always go to Google, select a picture of your choice, go to upload, and you can upload it from there, from your device. So let's see if I am using this image, right? So here would be a image on my Google form. Yeah. So can you all see the image?
Yes.
Yeah, so similarly, we can also change the color of it. So here is the color of my form changing. Can you see it? Like I can change it as per I want. I can also change the background of it. So here is the background color. I can change it to whatever I want. Here is the basic font style. So yeah, I have selected basic. It could be decorative or formal or playful. So they give you 4 options of selecting your font. So this is how my form looks like. Now, after I have completed designing my form, I can first take a preview of it. I can look at how my form would look to other people. So here is a preview of my form. So let's assume that this is my consent form. So if I press disagree to it, so I don't agree to the consent, the next thing I get is to submit the form directly. But if I agree to the form, I'm taken to the next page of the form. Um, yeah. So I come to the next page of the form. Here I fill my email ID. I put my age. Let's say in others, I am a student. Okay, so next. Here, we had put a navigation here as well. So I've asked, do you know about global warming? So if I say no, I'm directly taken to the page of, I'm directly taken to the page of information. Here also I select no maybe. So I'm taken to the page of information where I am informed about what is what is global warming. But if I select yes, then I am taken to the page of here where I can further run the form. So here I select all the options which I find correct. I can also add other options like let's say landslide. Okay, so I can add it. How do you help in reducing global warming? So here, this question I have not made compulsory. So you can attempt anything you want. Okay, so let's write not applicable for now. But if you want to write anything, you can write, or you can just avoid writing anything. It's totally fine because this question is not compulsory. Now, do you dispose your waste in the dustbin? Yes, I do. And do you segregate it? So it depends on you if you do it sometimes, never, or you do it. Here. So how well do you keep your surroundings? So it's clean. Okay, now add a file. So you just add a file from your uploads, or you just select a file from your device. So let's select this file. I'll open it and I'll upload it. So this is how I upload a file on Google. Then I go to next, and here is the information that I had written. And here is the submit button. So these are like almost all the functions and how all the questions could be attempted, or all the types of question, like how you can frame the options and questions, and what all features Google Form give you. So all this is shown over here. So now let's come to the setting part. Yeah, so let's come to the setting part. So make this as a quiz option. So where you have to select one correct answer and then you make a quiz out of your form. So it is not done generally for the survey purpose. It is for examinations or making a Google quiz, right? Then here comes question defaults. So you just select all the questions as compulsory questions or required questions. So if you do this, all your questions become compulsory or all your questions become required. Also form defaults. So you have to collect email ID of all the recipients by default. So if you want to make it as a compulsion question, you can just on this. Then comes the size limitation. So here is the size limitation of uploading your file. So it could be from till 1 GB, 10 GB, till 1 TB. So this is also a thing. Also required sign-ins. So limit to 1 response. So if you on here, if you just make this available. So what the thing happen is, let's assume I have given a response, but I did not understand a few questions and I have given a wrong response. As a friend of yours, you have conducted this survey and I have given all wrong responses to it. Now you want another response of mine, but since one email ID can give only 1 response, if you set this limit to 1, the person can give only one response. So in that case, you should not make this as a compulsory thing. When you're doing a survey, it is all right if a person can give multiple response. You can always delete the previous response of theirs in that case. Then we can go to responses. So how you can scrutinize your responses on the basis of pie charts and bar diagrams, also on the basis of Excel sheet. So since this form I have not circulated, I don't have any responses of that. I'll go to one of my SHP form, which I did for pilot reading, which has 29 responses. So here, I had asked age. So here, this is how they scrutinize the everything. So they give you in a form of pie chart where they give you percentage, and here would be the scale of it. You can also copy the chart, and you can paste it on the Word document or on PPT, wherever you want to present this. So you can do it directly. You can copy paste this. This is how they show it for as a pie chart. Then here comes the bar diagram. So this question was a checker box question where there like more than one option was applicable. So they gave it like this. So they can wear cotton mask or N95 or disposable as they wish. So as per that, this similar lines, all these questions. A few of questions could be open-ended, that could also be scrutinized. Now you can also see the responses on the individual basis in Excel sheet over here. So here is the spreadsheet, and you can just scrutinize the individual response of your recipients. Now, how to save this Excel sheet? For the further analysis purpose, you will have to save this Excel sheet. So how do you do it? You simply go to the form. Here is the 3 dots just beside Excel sheet. So you download it, .csv. Now I would like to inform you what is CSV. So basically CSV is an extension of a file. So like there is dot .excel, or there is .png, .jpg. In similar way, there is this .cng, which is like which is a commonly used like file extension and when it comes to spreadsheets. And most of the software programs which we use for analysis, like you don't do analysis on this, you have to use a particular statistical softwares. So most of the software prefers CSV files, and they easily export the CSV file into them, and then you can further do your analysis. So the CSV file is used for this. It is widely used by various organizations, and it is not unique to iPhones or PCs or Windows. It is just, it is not unique to someone. All the devices can be operated using this can operate this CSV. Also, it is very easy, it is very organized, and it is editable. So once you make a change in this, so it does not save it until and unless you decide to save or make lock in the changes. So you can keep editing as much as you want. So because other files just save whatever you do. So the changes are saved automatically, but in CSV files, changes are not saved automatically. So yeah, so you can convert your Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets into CSV for analysis. That's all from my part. So I like to, yeah, that's all from my part. I would just like to summarize whatever I talked about. So we learned how to title the Google form. So you can have any catchy title or anything. You can also write a few lines of description below the title about your form and what is it about. You always have to frame a consent when it comes to survey, because they need to know where you're taking their information. It is always a good practice to form a consent. Secondly, details of the recipient. We learned how to take the details. We learned how to make sections. Then we labeled our sections like A1, A2. You can also creatively label it. And if you can't be very creative, it is okay to label them as ABC. It is perfectly fine. Then multiple options, like how to do multiple options, how to do checkered box, how to do open-ended questions. Open-ended questions could be of two forms, shorts and long answers or paragraphs. Then how to write description below the question. So as I gave the option of adulteration, many of the layman people might not understand the meaning of adulteration. So you can just on that option of description, and you can write beneath the question what you mean by adulteration to them. Then how to make questions in rows and columns. So you add questions in rows and options in columns, and so that way. Then we learned how to navigate the form. So once like you select no, then or the option is no, never. So in these kind of questions, they should not be forced to answer the questions which are irrelevant to them. If they don't know about something, they should not force to answer the questions which are not appropriate for them. Secondly, we learned how to do preview. We can always make our forms attractive or beautify by adding pictures and adding colors to it. And I told you how to look for responses in pie charts or bar diagrams, and also in Excel sheets. You should always convert your Excel sheets into CVC file for CSV files for analyzing it in software, because most of the software accept it like that. Okay, thank you. I further would like to call Debanjana to carry forward this session.
Okay, thank you, Shreya. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes,
you are.
Okay, so I just would like to know that how many of y'all are active. So can y'all just type a Y in the chat box? Okay. All right. Good to see you all are listening us actively. So we have heard the introduction of Google Forms. Coming to how do we actually make Google Forms? Now we would like to go to the part where we will learn and we'll just like come across certain points or the mistakes that you make while making a Google form. So being the maker of the entire Google form, there will be points where you'll be confident, and the mistakes that you would not be able to see it through your eyes, maybe others will be able to see that. So I mean, as the maker of the Google form, you have to be very careful, and this comes with patience and practice. Now, there are certain points that I would like to share. Okay, as Shreya has screened her share, and there are certain points I would be elaborating on each of them. Starting with question specificity. Now, when you're forming a Google form, let's say you have got a topic, you have decided what you are going to talk about. Now, when you're forming the questions, it's like before you make a Google form, you must have deliberated with your teammates the kind of questions you want. But when you're writing it down, you will feel that maybe the questions are too long, and when you type it, they will seem even longer. And when you're always making a form, you have to see it from a point of view of a responder, okay? Like how that person would actually feel when he or she is filling up your form. So you would have to make sure that you're very specific about the question, as in it should not exceed for like more than one line. And you have to be very wise about the choice of words you make, because ultimately that is something that is going to convey your make sure that the questions that you have made and the changes that are to be made, that are properly given by the ones you care about, and they'll give you honest feedbacks about it. So pilot check is very necessary. Do it within a group of like 20 people. You will get various type of feedbacks and all. Fifthly, navigating your questions rightly. It is a very I would call this something very crucial. So when there comes a question called yes or no, it might actually seem simple, but if it is a yes, you take the responder to the next page where where you have formed all the questions related to the agenda of the Google form. And if it is no, then the person will either exit out of the form like you have devised it, or you can take it to the page where you can actually educate the responder about the certain topic that you have made your form about. And then you can direct that person that where he or she has agreed to fill up the form further, you can take the person back to the place where where there are all the other questions, where he or she can fill it up. Next, it is very important to keep your entire content very short and sweet. You being the maker of the form, you might feel that maybe there are less questions, maybe this is not sufficient, but it is very important that you think over it, you write down the questions, and then you make the short you conclude it in such a way that it is simple, and your purpose is getting filled. You have to only fill up the form regarding which it is really important about, the ones that are actually needed by your entire agenda. So you have to be very specific about it. Next, there might be clashes, okay? So it's like once your form is done and you have circulated it amongst your friends, amongst the people, like you are getting your responses and all. So with the other teammates of SHP, now considering SHP under the category of SHP, some other teammate, some other team might sort of have the same questions. And in this case, what you're supposed to do, firstly, don't get nervous or don't panic. In this case, what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to talk it out with the person in a very peaceful way, deciding how you would take it further. So you have to make sure there are no conflicts, okay? Because of course, it's like when you are thinking of a Google form, even that person is thinking about the same. So when you're taking it ahead, of course, you are thinking in a certain way that is actually making a very simple approach. So when you're approaching for it, the approach might be same for you and for the other person as well. So in this case, you'll have to make sure that someone of you has to decide to maybe change a bit, the tone of the question, so that it doesn't seem exactly same. Otherwise, the name, age, all of these are of course common, and you need this for your entire survey. Next, explanation and images. Like it was mentioned before, since you are in science, you will know about adulteration, how it is done. But when you are circulating it amongst layman, they may not know what it is. So it is very important that you explain it to them in a very short and sweet way with images. As a second part of this point, images, it is very important that along with questions, you put images. And there are some questions where you don't write it. You just put the images, okay? And then after that, you put the question of it, question regarding it. So, for an example, you are putting a cycle of hand washes, okay, like how it is supposed to be done, and in the next, and then as a part of the as a part of the question, you can mention it down, the question that you're willing to ask, because when a person is filling up the form, of course he or she wouldn't like to read it continuously. You need things, you need visuals that would actually keep your eye attracted. So it is very important you take care of that. Short notes, as a part of the previous point, that you mentioned short notes about the points that you think that the people filling it up may or may not know about it. So keep it in a very short and simple way along with pictures. And as the last point, which is very important, getting varieties of response. So when you are done with the form, done with pilot checking and everything, you are not supposed to circulate, just amongst your friend circle. Make sure you circulate it, in different states. So it's like you have your some other relative, in a different state. Make sure you share it with that person. That person can share it amongst their circle. So it's like this is how you get varieties of responses from different places. Secondly, age groups. Don't circulate it amongst the ones, those who are just of your age. Do it with the people, those who are like younger than you, older than you, then amongst various like professions. So that is important. So when you get your responses, you will see like you will get varieties of it in the pie graph, like the response sheet that you get. So that will be better for your entire statistics that you do after your survey is done. Last but not the least, making Google form is very tedious, and you have to make sure that you stay patient about it, because at every point you will come across mistakes, not just by you, but then there will be others, your teachers, your mentors, your friends. They will be pointing out the mistakes where you're supposed to make it right. Just keep this at the back of your mind that they are saying this for your welfare, and be calm about it. You guys will get through it when you will do it on your own. That's it about the mistakes that you make. I would like to give it over to Saloni. She will be concluding the session. Thank you.
So here we come to an end of the session. We hope you enjoyed and learned something new today. Until now, we have tried our best to share our experience we have had in our time. You will realize few important points when you will make the form, and in the process you might come across new obstacles, but we are sure you will overcome it. And thank you again for being such a patient audience. Thank you. Over to Tara ma'am.
So I would hope you all had a very good, happy learning session with your peers. And I would just like to give you all a quick glimpsed summary of everything. They have done it so well. We will just summarize everything it quickly. So you all have learned about how to make up Google Forms. What are they? What features are included in it? So everything was covered well. How to create form was demonstrated to you all. So you all saw how to write title in it, how consent and confidentiality is very important, because whenever we are doing any sort of research, it is very important to maintain ethical standards. Okay, so whenever we are doing any interview or any survey, it is very important to take consent of the person we are taking response from. So as she mentioned that after, if it is a yes, it will go into to a different section. So even dividing your form and sectioning it well is very important. So this is what you all also saw. Then you also saw how to label sections, how to make different types of questions, right? So how to do form MCQs, how to select for open-ended questions, short paragraphs, sort of questions, long paragraph questions. Then how to make grids. So if you want to make MCQ grid, or you want to make checkout grid or sort of, so you can have MCQ grids where you can also have
instead of mentioning yes, no, or maybe, you can write 1, 2, 3 there, like how you write in linear scale wala section. You can write there 1, 2, 3 in the column section in your options. And in your question, you can mention okay, 1 kya hai, what is 2, or what is 3. So 1 is like, if you want to have agreement or disagreement sort of questions, so you can mention okay, 1 strongly agree, or 2 agree, 3 disagree, or strongly disagree, 4. So you can have, instead of writing there strongly agree or agree, you can also write their numbers and mention what are those numbers, as you'll mention keys below your table while you are doing any sort of experiments. So basically you can mention it in the question as well. So you can have those numbers mentioned in the question, what are they indicating, and in the column section you can mention the numbers. So directly the respondent will be directly checking on those options. Then definitely you need to give, because everyone is not aware of everything, so we need to provide information if the person is not knowledgeable, and that will kind of save time for the person who already know. So this was also very interesting, and this was demonstrated by Shreya. Then how to direct your form, how to make it attractive, that is also very important, because if your form is like a very like it's plain, the respondent won't be that attracted to it. So that your form should be well circulated and you should get many responses, you can make your form well attractive with the pictures relating to your topic itself, right? So if you are working on an experiment, if you are working on a survey which is involving people's response based on washing hands, so if they're washing it in a right manner or not, so you can demonstrate with the help of those pictures. So you can have pictures as well, and they can select that. So you can give that option as well. So she also demonstrated how to add pictures in your form, and how to collect responses, how to download those responses. So you can download it in 2 formats, right? Excel and CSV. So Excel wale mein, when you download it, you can do a number of functions after that. If you have downloaded the data in that, you can make pie chart, or you can make any type of graph you want, any type of like whatever you want to do with that. Even statistical analysis can be done, functions can be done using that in that Excel sheet itself. But if you want to like shuffle your data here and there, so it is better to convert it into a CSV file. So CSV file allows you to shuffle between like, even you can import it in Excel, you can export it from Excel, you can import it to different softwares. So especially if you have your data which is relating to like bioinformatics, or you want to do data analytics, or you want to do statistical analysis of those data, especially in machine learning and algorithms, usually they kind of either they convert this data into CSV, or you have other formats also which they prefer, JSON and everything. We'll not get into those details, but then this CSV is kind of something simpler, which is like acceptable in those machine learning platforms as well. So if you are collecting if you're doing a very big survey with a lot of many people, so you can have you can have that data converted into CSV, and then you can use that. You can shuffle that into different formats. So that was also done. Then what are the different mistakes which you all can make, that are also, when you know actually what are the mistakes you can do, so you can actually stop the errors. So they were also explained very well. This was also done. What else I would like to share is that